software defined WAN or SD-WAN. So SD-WAN is a software defined approach to managing wide area network. So basically SD-WAN is one of the SDN implementation, software defined networking implementation to manage wide area network. And another SDN implementation that is very popular is to manage campus network and known as SDA, software defined access, right? So SDA is to manage campus network and SD-WAN is to manage wide area network, right? But in Fortinet, in Cisco, Meraki, even from the same dashboard, from the same controller, we can manage both wide area network and also the campus network, like switches, access point, IP phones, provided they all should be from the same vendor, right? So but in Cisco world, of course, different controller to manage WAN and different controller to manage campus network and different controller to manage data center. So in Cisco there are three different controllers, one controller to manage wide area network, another controller to manage campus network, and another controller to manage DC or data center, right? Wherein like we use AP controller, ACI mode, WAN is like something different. In Cisco Viptela we use vManage. Okay, campus network is again different, like DNA concept. But in Fortinet even we can manage 40 switches, 40 APs, 40 gate firewalls from a single centralized dashboard, from a single centralized manner. So it's not only like managing wide area network, even we can manage campus network also, provided appliances should be from the same vendor, right? So but SD-WAN is only about management, only about doing configuration from a centralized controller, from a centralized management server. No, that is not correct, right? Because even if we do not talk about SD-WAN, software defined WAN, still like we do have like management servers of different vendors to manage devices. Let me quickly explain about controllers, controller based solution, what exactly SD-WAN is and what benefits SD-WAN offer, right? And then I'll be back to presentation file and I will just walk you through like different key points, also about components in Fortinet, like FortiManager, FortiAnalyzer, FortiSwitch, FortiAP, design and architecture. So we will understand like everything. But first thing first, so let's first understand what is exactly SD-WAN. Why do we use SD-WAN nowadays? Why SD-WAN is so popular? So let me open my whiteboard and explain about SD-WAN, and then I'll be back to the presentation files. So SD-WAN is really not about managing devices from a centralized controller or management server. So because even if we do not talk about SD-WAN, right? So there are different firewalls or different devices, like maybe load balancer, firewall or any other device. So yes, can be managed from a centralized management server, right? So if there is IP reachability to different devices, there is proper license, then yes, devices can be managed from a centralized management server, right? In Checkpoint we have security management server. In FortiGate, like there is FortiManager. In Palo Alto we do have Panorama. In F5 there is another appliance, Big IQ, right? So there are different management servers. Management servers are used for centralized management, administration, logging, reporting, right? So it's not about SD-WAN, okay? So SD-WAN is not all about like centralized management and centralized configuration. Of course, it is one of the feature of SD-WAN, that is centralized management and centralized or controller based solution, but it's not all about SD-WAN. SD-WAN means first configuring application aware routing in conjunction with service level agreement or performance service level agreement, right? So what is application aware routing and performance based routing? So let me quickly explain the first point, right? So here, like if there is a device, any gateway device, like maybe FortiGate firewall, there are two different WAN connections like ISP1 and ISP2, and we want to configure routing based on applications, application aware routing, right? That in order to route packet for YouTube, maybe Twitter, Facebook, prefer route via ISP2, right? For cloud hosted applications like Azure, AWS, Google Cloud, prefer ISP1 link, right? So yes, can be easily configured in any SD-WAN solution, not only in Fortinet, in even other Windows SD-WANs also. We can configure application aware routing. But again, it's not very exciting and new feature like application aware routing, or maybe knowledge of applications or application visibility. It's okay, like is something like next generation firewall feature like application aware inspection, deep packet inspection, routing based on applications, right? But on top of that, above like this application aware routing, we can use service level agreement, right? Because let us assume that if ISP1 link goes down, then of course cloud-based applications will also be routed via ISP2 for sure, no problem, right? But what if ISP1 and ISP2, they both are operating but not like normally? I mean, like if link is up, there is no issue with the ISP1, but packet loss is maybe 15%, there is good amount of jitter, maybe 100 ms, delay is also maybe 150 ms. That means link is not performing well, but link is still up, right? So what would happen? Gateway 1 will keep on routing via the same path, ISP1, even though like ISP1 is congested, there is packet loss, jitter, delay, right? So best routing part or best routing is like taking service level agreement parameters, right? Packet loss, jitter, delay into consideration, right? While making routing decision. That if like and should be configurable, means if we could configure that if packet loss is 1% or jitter is more than maybe 50 ms, delay is more than 60 ms, then do not use ISP1 path, right? Even for like cloud-based applications, yes, that can be easily configured in SD-WAN solution or services. So it's not only about application aware routing in conjunction with performance service level agreement. It is one of the core feature of SD-WAN. Application visibility, application aware routing, performance or service level agreement based routing. And the point number 2. SD-WAN builds like IPsec tunnel on demand, either with no configuration or with very minimum configuration. IPsec tunnel is created to connect different sites, different locations, right? For example, if there are 3 or 4 sites, right, at different locations, they all have proper internet connectivity because SD-WAN is transport independent. So site 2, site 1, remote site, or maybe site 3. There are 3 sites, right? So if there is physical connectivity, IP reachability, there is underlay, means transport proper, means devices are connected, gateway 1, gateway 2, gateway 3, right? There is proper internet connectivity. If I assume like transport is internet, however like SD-WAN is transport independent, right? So SD-WAN doesn't care about the underlay, means physical network. Underlay means physical network, right? Because SD-WAN is overlay networking. Overlay means virtual, like the IPsec tunnel. That's what overlay network is, right? So if there is proper physical connectivity and we want here full mesh topology, right? So what will happen? Without any configuration or with very minimum configuration, in case of full mesh IPsec tunnel will be created. So IPsec tunnel means overlay network, overlay, automatic. In Fortinet, like there is concept of AD VPN, R2 discovery VPN, right? Or shortcut VPN. So tunnels are created automatically. If we want to change the topology from full mesh to hub and spoke, that can be easily done and from a centralized management controller. So SD-WAN is transport independent solution to connect different sites, to connect different locations using any transport, right? However, commonly like organization, entities, companies prefer to use internet, and internet could be either internet lease line circuit, 4G, 5G, LTE. Even we can connect different sites with MPLS, P2P connections, because SD-WAN doesn't care about the transport. Like there has to be transport, there has to be IP reachability, but not necessarily that transport should be MPLS or internet or 4G or 5G, because SD-WAN is completely transport independent solution, right? So with the help of SD-WAN, we can easily connect different sites, different locations. Again, if you say like, okay, in like earlier days also, we used to build IPsec tunnel using internet as a transport. So what is new in the SD-WAN? Right? So in SD-WAN, IPsec tunnels are created automatically on demand with no configuration or minimum configuration, and then even on top of that, we can do application aware routing, we can do performance based routing, and also there is another very good feature in SD-WAN, that is zero touch provisioning. For example, let us assume we want to connect the fourth site, a new site, completely new site, site 4, right? But there is no engineer at that site, right? You have shipped FortiGate firewall to the location, to the site, that is your SD-WAN router, right? And technician or maybe desktop engineer has already facilitated internet connectivity, means now device is connected to the internet. But what about other configuration? What about routing? What about creating or setting up IPsec tunnel, right? Because there is no engineer at that site, remote location. So in SD-WAN, there is concept of zero touch provisioning, right? With the help of zero touch provisioning, device only requires internet connectivity, IP reachability, transport only, that's it, right? And the device will be configured automatically, will connect with maybe a controller hosted in cloud or anywhere in the data center, on-prem, depends now like what type of SD-WAN solution or from which vendor we have deployed SD-WAN solution. There are different ways, like in Fortinet, like there is FortiCloud, in Cisco, in fact we use software.cisco.com. there we go there and create profiles and all that. So for now you can understand, like device will connect with the some cloud-based services, will obtain addresses of controller, will connect with the controller, will take configuration from there. I mean, like device is configured automatically with no configuration at all. That is zero touch provisioning, or GTP, right? So if we summarize like SD-WAN, so SD-WAN means transport independent, intelligent, wide area network solution. Of course, is a controller base. From a single management server controller, we can manage SD-WAN devices. There is application aware routing, there is performance based routing, routing based on IP service level agreement, zero touch provisioning, ZTP, and if we are configuring application aware routing, means devices are application aware, there is application traffic visibility that could be useful for logging, monitoring, reporting purpose also, right? And also in this SD-WAN solution, there is a secure communication across different sites because IPsec tunnels are created, and in Fortinet, like there is AD VPN or shortcut VPN concept, so that is used. And with minimum configuration, we can define like whether we want full mesh or partial mesh or hub and spoke topology. Based on that, tunnels are created. Like too many like features or benefits of SD-WAN solution, right? But like I've seen like people just taking SD-WAN only this type of solution. I mean, like, let me quickly take one scenario that if I have a FortiGate firewall and there are two WAN connections like ISP1, ISP2, right? So that is true also, that we can create SD-WAN zone. We can put both interfaces as a member interfaces, SD-WAN zone, and then both interfaces are member interfaces, member 1 and 2. So and then we can like configure routing based on applications, or even we can use different like algos for routing, maybe performance based or based on cost, jitter, delay, or maybe we can set the priority of one link over another. So there are multiple ways like here in FortiGate firewall we can do that, of course, but it is only one feature or functionality of SD-WAN. It's not all about SD-WAN, because a lot of like I've seen like a lot of engineers, they misinterpret in fact, right? But they understand that in FortiGate firewall we can create SD-WAN zone, we can put interfaces as SD-WAN zone members, and then we can create routing, we can do policy based, we can create security rules based on application services. All true, right? All true, correct. But it's not only, it's not all about SD-WAN. It is just one feature, one functionality of SD-WAN, right? That creating zone members and then configuring routing and using zone in the policy, because a zone means logical term. In fact, interfaces are members. So wherever we do routing, whenever we configure policy, then we take zone there, SD-WAN zone. And I'm going to show you practically that also. But it's not all about SD-WAN. It is just one feature of SD-WAN, that is configuring application aware routing, or only routing part, right? Only routing part. But SD-WAN is not all about routing part. SD-WAN is my like managing wide area network, different size, different locations, right? Also another feature is direct internet access, providing direct internet access to the sites in fact. And if we are using FortiGate appliances, so we don't have to buy any separate license in order to use SD-WAN, right? In Palo Alto, we cannot use SD-WAN without a dedicated and separate license. In FortiGate firewall, you don't have to buy any separate license. You don't have to buy any dedicated appliance for SD-WAN. Even your FortiGate firewall is SD-WAN enabled, right? You don't have to like have different appliances. For centralized management, centralized controller, we do have FortiManager, FortiAnalyzer, right? So analyzer is for logging, reporting, manager is for management purpose. We can create templates, we can push configuration from using templates, we can do like complete management, monitoring and configuration from FortiManager. So FortiManager is what is your one of the controller, management server, and FortiGate firewall is what? Both data plane and control plane. So because in FortiGate, in fact, there is no separation of control and data plane. In FortiGate SD-WAN solution, your FortiGate firewall means control plane device plus data plane, both same device, right? FortiGate firewall. And FortiManager is basically only management plane, okay? So in because in Cisco Viptela, even like there is isolation, there is separation of control and data plane also, but in Fortinet, no, there is no separation of control and data plane. The same device, FortiGate firewall is basically your control plane, FortiGate firewall is data plane, right? So control and data plane same. Alright, so I hope you understand like the basic of SD-WAN. So SD-WAN is software defined WAN, one of the SDN implementation to manage wide area network. But as I said, in FortiGate firewall, if FortiGate firewall is connected with 40 switch connected with 40 APs, so we can manage 40 APs, 40 switch, 40 gate firewall, all like from a centralized controller, from a centralized dashboard. That means very much we can manage campus network, LAN network also, along with the wide area network. But in Cisco SD-WAN, to manage campus network, there is different controller, different solution. For wide area network, different controller. But same is not true in Fortinet. In Fortinet, like if devices are from the Fortinet, then we can manage this entire fabric. So so fabric is extended to end host, I mean like switch, access point, and edge device is your FortiGate firewall. Alright, so let me go back to the presentation file and let's see what we have there. Alright, so SD-WAN is a software defined approach to manage wide area network. It consolidates the physical transport connections. So consolidating means like if there are multiple WAN connections, so we can put them in a single SD-WAN zone, and then on top of that we can configure load balancing algorithm, right? Whether source IP base or source destination IP base, there are multiple options available there. VPN overlay networks can be built on top of the underlays to control network traffic across different sites, and I'm sure like you now understand about overlay and underlay. So underlay means like your physical connection, like the internet lease line connection or any other connection, and overlay means virtual connection. Virtual, for example, here IPsec tunnel, right? IPsec is just one example. Overlay could be your GRE tunnel, any other tunnel. So here like overlay means your IPsec tunnel, underlay means physical connection, transport. But as said before, SD-WAN is transport independent, right? Transport independent. Some of the feature: reduce cost with the transport independence. Yes. Reduce complexity, correct. Application aware, and performance or service level agreement based routing. Components. So in FortiGate SD-WAN or Fortinet SD-WAN rather I would say, for management and orchestration we have FortiManager and FortiAnalyzer, right? Not mandatory though. Let's say you have 2 or 3 different sites and you can configure devices individually. You can log into different device, you can do your configuration. So do we really need then FortiManager and FortiAnalyzer for SD-WAN? No. Means FortiManager, FortiAnalyzer, these two products can be ignored, right? It is just to make configuration simple, management simple, logging and reporting simple, okay? But in large enterprise networks, Fortinet SD-WAN solution is strongly recommended to have FortiManager and FortiAnalyzer. They both means management and orchestration plane, control data plane, and also security means your FortiGate firewall. There is no separate dedicated device. FortiGate firewall means your SD-WAN device. So SD-WAN device like doing routing and all the SD-WAN functionality plus firewalling, same box, same device. For network access, yes, like if there is 40 switch, 40 access point, of course the best option, because we can control, we can manage switches, access point also, but not necessary to have 40 switch and 40 APs, okay? The core functionalities of Fortinet SD-WAN solution are built into FortiGate. Whether the environment contains one FortiGate or 100, you can use SD-WAN by enabling it on the individual FortiGates, correct? So it's a basic label, as I said, like there is only one site, right? There is only one site, there is only one FortiGate firewall, but multiple WAN connection. Still you want to make use of SD-WAN routing, performance based routing. Yes, we can use SD-WAN then. There is no FortiManager, there is no other site, just internet, only 2 links. It is one of the feature, right? Because I want to use performance based routing. I want to make use of SD-WAN routing, intelligent routing, application aware routing. I do not want to connect to different sites. I do not want to have like full place wide area network connection. Yes, we can use SD-WAN, and that's what we will do in the lab demonstration, right? This scenario, first one. Because in order to take large complex scenarios wherein like there are 10, 20, 30, 40 sites, we want to see like AD, VPN, IPsec tunnels, configuration from FortiManager, and using even templates, right? Single template, and then configuring multiple devices, doing some normalization or creating a normalized interface. We just do that, but in dedicated Fortinet SD-WAN training section, that is NSE 7, right? So there is a dedicated training for that, NSE 7 SD-WAN, wherein like we take large enterprise network scenario where we use FortiManager, where we configure devices using templates from the FortiManager. We connect different sites, different locations. But in this firewall section, we will take this basic level SD-WAN architecture, wherein like a firewall has multiple WAN ports, WAN interfaces, and then just doing SD-WAN routing, application aware routing, performance based routing. That's it, right? One of the use case of SD-WAN. But it's not all about SD-WAN, as I said before. And you can see here at advanced level, SD-WAN can be deployed in a multi-sites hub and spoke environment also, right? So there is one site here, hub site, and there are 3 spoke sites connected with the internet. So it's a physical connectivity, and then on top of that, like on top of like physical connection, IPsec tunnel is created, right? In case of hub and spoke, only 3 tunnels will be created. Like spoke 1 to spoke 2 reachability would be via hub site, right? But required, then yes, we can change the topology from hub spoke to full mesh topology. So it is a bit advanced, but even at enterprise level, is a concept of dual hub architecture, right? Because single hub means like there is single point of failure. So we can go with this, like different regions, different sites connected with this hub, and there is like a connectivity between both.